Hi folks, thanks for stopping by. If you're looking for wood turning this week, sorry, I'll get back to it in a bit. Today I'm starting a new project, one that I figured I'd share with you guys. This is a 1958 Philco record player. It's a model A375-4E. It was produced in England, and let's see, I know that it went to Spain and then back to New Jersey. Ended up in my wife's family, and it's a neat little record player, but it doesn't sound very good, and parts are hard to replace. So what I'm going to do is, since it has 3 speakers, I'm going to get, or I have a Bluetooth board that I'm going to install in it, and I need to get a crossover amp board so that I can drive all 3 speakers and turn it into a useful Bluetooth appliance. So this will be definitely a multi-part video. There's a lot to be done, and I'm going to jump in. So stick around. I'll get started. May not get very far, but at least I'll get started. So there's a few features of this record player that are kind of cool. It actually has provision for plugging in an external audio source and then use the amplifier that's built into the record player. But it's looking for a line level input, and that's really not what you want to do with Bluetooth. It's also multi-voltage. It was meant for post-war Europe, so there's a couple of switches here and plugs that determine the voltage for both the phonograph as well as the amplifier. I'm not going to do a full teardown and restoration because I'm not really that interested in the record player portion. I'm not going to destroy it either and just gut it. So what I'm going to do is a very light restoration, general cleanup, and we'll just see what we got. I need to kind of open it up and see what's going on and see how hard it'll be to mount the Bluetooth board, power supply, crossover, and I don't know. I'm also considering putting a like an Arduino in it with a remote IR so that I could turn it on, set the volume with a remote rather than having to get up and use a knob. The trim pots here are pretty well shot. I actually turned it on and the volume is either like off or 100%. There's no in between, so even restoring this would be kind of difficult. So let me grab some screwdrivers and we will start taking it apart. I think it's just a series of screws holding the turntable in. The turntable floats on springs, but I think that's attached to the center mechanism. Let me take the rest of these out, see if it'll come loose or if I need to take more apart. I think I'm going to also have to take this panel out that is the voltage selector. It looks like it sits down in a little groove on the base panel. Yeah, this is interesting. Oh, it's kind of in upside down. I guess so you could read it like that. But you've got phono voltage, which, here, let me see if I can zoom you guys in and see if you can read that. No, of course not. There we go. So phono voltage, either 105, 125, or 200, 250. It's probably the Bakelite, so I probably shouldn't be doing this, but no, I can't get it out. And then a little plug here for the amplifier that is either, looks like 110, 200, 225, or 226, 250. And all that's really doing is connecting different sets of wires, probably that have different resistors for the different voltages. So let me kind of set that aside. And let's see. I don't know if that's, is that everything? Yep, okay, that's it. Alright. So now, aha. The, looks like the turntable is just connected by an RCA jack. And then we have the motor connection. Does it come off or is it soldered? Oh, it's soldered. So the output of the actual arm is connected to the amplifier via a phono plug. Let me see if I have enough room to set this down. Put stress on any of the wires. And I don't really, see. I'm not terribly worried about it since it's not ever play records again, but still. And this was the electrical connector to the motor. And let's see. Okay. There must be some, there's a multi-winding transformer in here that you can't see. It probably does the different voltage regulation. All right, so we've got 3 speakers. We've got the amp. Here, let me see if you guys can get in here and get a better look. Sorry for the shake. Yeah, it's an old tube amp. We've got a couple of tubes. The multi-winding transformer for the different voltages. And so we've got 2 speakers here and then one in the front. And then the panel with the controls. You guys can see that. We've got the controls here. And a light that indicates when it's turned on. Alright, so yeah, looks like I'm going to have to do some research on these speakers and see if I can figure out what kind of impedance they're at. It looks like they have probably a capacitor here, or I don't know if that's a capacitor or a resistor. I guess that's well, you can't see it, sorry. There's a resistor in here connected to these speakers, and they're both connected to the main speaker, so it may not be actually stereo. So that would make sense because this is a mono plug. Maybe it's the same signal in all 3 speakers, in which case yeah, I'll just try attaching a signal to the speaker output wires here that kind of feeds everything and see how that works. For the controls, what I might do is see if I can get this out and replace it with an IR LED, or I mean an IR sensor. That might work. Since it's Bluetooth that I'm looking at, I may have to find a couple more holes for the like the Bluetooth pairing, LED, activity, yada yada. I got the kit from Parts Express, and it has a lot of cool little LEDs and little metal shields for them. So we'll see. But let me get these knobs off and get this control panel out and see what's what there.
4 to 6 weeks later.
Okay. Got a couple of. Oh, there's the original finish. Nice and shiny. Oh, looks like we lost a little bit of the back of the label. Interesting that this is not actually a light. This is just a piece of plastic down to a light that's way down in there. So yeah, it's just a little bulb. Oh, interesting, another tube. Okay. And a bunch of resistors. So what I may end up doing is kind of taking this plate apart and unfortunately taking some of these out, because like I said, the volume control is shot. It's either on very, very low or 100% with nothing in between. As you can see, it's kind of corroded and there's a lot of dust on it. So there's the mains input power for the treble switch. So it goes on back to the amplifier. And the output of the, or the input for the amp, which is connected to the volume control. Cool. Alright, so keep these screws aside. Actually, let me get a little dish for those right now while I'm thinking about it. So, tell you what, I think I'm going to clean up some of the bits with some really mild detergent and see what they look like, just as a interesting thing to do. Okay, that's probably going to be it for today. My neighbor also having his yard mowed is driving me nuts, so probably going to jump in the house. As far as the turntable goes and the mechanism there, I'm not even going to bother trying to fix it mechanically. What I may do is do the same thing I just did to the cabinet, which was just give it a once over with a light detergent to kind of fluff it up a bit. I dare not mess with that. I know that it's brittle. I don't know if it's actually rubber or some 50s rubberized plastic or what. But yeah, let me clean this up off camera and do some research, and I'll be back next week. I think we'll end it here for part 1. Thanks for sticking with me. I realize this is not my typical project, and I welcome your criticism down in the comments. But if you like it, also down in the comments, let me know. If it's your first time here, I typically do more turning stuff, so this is a kind of an oddball project for me. But if you want to see me finish this, please subscribe. Or if you want to see me get back to turning, I'll do that as well. But yeah, comment, share, like. We'll see you next week. Take care.